Hello, thanks for joining me. I'm in the workshop and I've just been doing a little job working on the Pillion foot pegs on my Scrambler 1200, and I wasn't going to record it. I'm always doing bits of jobs in the workshop. Every day I'm in here doing something, and actually only record a very small proportion of the stuff that I'm doing, just really if I think it's going to be of interest to people. Anyway, I was just about to complete this job and I thought actually this may be of interest to you if you are a Scrambler 1200 owner. The issue is this: over the winter I was riding the bike on the UK roads in the winter, lots of salt and what have you, and inevitably you get bits of corrosion. And so these are the Pillion foot peg hangers, and what I was getting was a little bit of corrosion. They're made of aluminium and they're painted black, and the paint was coming off just round here on both of them, a little bit of corrosion. So what I did was I took them off and I cleaned them up, sanded them down with some wire wool actually, and then I repainted them with some of this, which is great. I use this a lot. It's Hammerite straight to metal paint and it's smooth black. It goes on very easily, it gives a nice finish. Now, but the only issue is when you use it, you've got to give it plenty of time to cure. So I actually painted these about 2 weeks ago, but actually about 3 weeks ago, and then I just set them on one side for the paint to dry and cure properly, because I didn't really need the Pillion foot hangers on the bike. I'm not taking any pillions, so I'm happy that the paint's fine now, so I'm just going to put them back on. So I've just reassembled them. A couple of things interesting to note: the left hand and the right hand side are different sizes there, and the reason for that is this bigger one is the right hand side, and it's bigger because it sticks out further to get round the exhaust, so that the Pillion's foot and leg is clear of the exhaust which runs on that side. Yeah. The other thing to note is they're actually made out of two parts. So there's this hanger bit here, and then this bit that the foot peg actually attaches into is a separate part, and it's bolted on. There's an Allen head there and then a bolt at the back. So I took all of that apart before I painted them. So I'm just putting them back together, and that's why I thought it might be interesting, because yeah, it's a nice little mechanism. I love the mechanism, how this goes together. So I just wanted to show you what you've got here in the foot peg. So this is the hole that the pivot pin goes on, but that other hole you can see there's actually a little spring in there and some grease. I've packed it out with grease, and this little ball bearing then sits in there. And then there's this plate which goes inside the hanger, and if I just show you this plate, these little recesses here, they are location recesses for that ball bearing. So the ball bearing runs on the surface of this metal plate and then drops into each of those holes, and it sort of clicks into place, and that's what locates the foot peg, in the up position or the down position, which I think is pretty neat. So I've just zoomed in, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing better. So this is the foot peg hanger. Got the foot peg here and the little plate locating the ball bearing there, and slide that in. Just get it all lined up with the holes lined up there. And then this is I'm trying to keep everything in camera, that's the pin that goes through. So I'll just put this down a sec. That's the pin that goes through. Just put a bit of grease on this, just using this grease here. Just put a little bit of grease on the pin, and then slide that through. And now if I move the foot peg up from it's in the sort of down position with the riding position, if I move it up, you'll be able to hear that ball bearing clicking into the other locator hole. There you go. Neat, isn't it, that? Lovely. And then there's just a little circlip goes on the end of that pin just to keep it in place. So I'll just pop that circlip back on with my pliers. There we are. That's the circlip on. So that's the right hand one reassembled, ready to go back on the bike. So I'll assemble the left hand one now. Right, so I'll do the left hand one, and you can see this is the shorter hanger. So put my little ball bearing on top of the spring there, get the little plate in place, try and get everything lined up, all the holes lined up in the right place, and then push it on. So that's everything. That's everything lined up. Here's my pin, which I've already just popped a bit of grease on to push the pin through, and that's it clicked into place. And again, you can hear that one folding up and down, so put the circlip in there to retain that. There we are. So there, that's lovely. So that's both of my Pillion foot pegs. But you know, both kind of touched them up in terms of that little bit of corrosion, but also, you know, I took all of the you know, the mechanism apart here and cleaned up. Didn't show you, but when I took it apart originally, you know, obviously you get bits of corrosion going in there, so I cleaned it all up with very fine wire wool, and as you can see, I've re-lubricated that, so that's good to go. Just before I put it back together, I'm going to put a bit more grease on this nut on the back. Just protect it, and then these are going back on the bike. The foot hangers fasten onto the bike here, and they bolt onto these lugs on the frame, and they're fastened on with these bolts which are actually torque fasteners. Now, one thing I've found on this bike, well, and on other bikes as well actually, is these are stainless fasteners, and the stainless fasteners into the frame, quite often you do get a little bit of corrosion there, particularly between the stainless and aluminium, and so what I've done is just put a bit of copper grease on those, just to lubricate them before they go in. And of course, you know, they will, I mean, some people would maybe put Loctite on there, and yeah, if you're worried about them vibrating off, then sure, put Loctite on. But by the time I've got these fastened on properly, I don't think they're coming off, because this is something which I do regularly. So just putting these Astons in. This is a torque driver. This is my little torque driver. It's a T40 size of this, and I need this one with a long shaft just to kind of get round the end of the foot peg hanger to get it in there. So just you know, fasten these on and tighten them up nicely. So particularly if you do a lot of off-road riding, you're worried about them vibrating loose, then you maybe want to put a bit of Loctite on there. And I find that Loctite actually works anti-corrosion as well, because you've got that sort of protective coating. But in this case, I'm using the copper grease. So get those tightened up and just really crank that down. I'm not doing it to any particular torque setting, just doing it so it's nice and tight. And then I get to this top one, I'll go around and put the other one back on. Bit fiddly getting in there. Yeah, I have to do it on this one. It's a bit fiddly getting in. You need a sort of long reach. If you've got a socket, you need it on a long extension. So there we are. That's my foot. Oh, you can't quite see the foot peg there, but yeah, there we are. There's the foot peg. Remounted. So I'll go down the other side. I don't think I'll bother recording the other side. So that's just a quick video. The what you might call servicing, refurbishing my Pillion foot pegs and hangers. Hope you found that interesting. Thanks. Bye.